I can remember when I first went to work, when I first started selling cars at Ron Craft in 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right? We're just gonna leave it there. One of the guys comes out and he says, "Yeah, oh man, it's tough here. Ain't nobody selling any cars here." He's trying to run my ass off. Right. The minute I showed up, right? Yeah. And so they don't generally like competition. They want to keep you. I mean, that's one of their. I mean, you don't want to transfer the bad habits. I don't want to transfer the brain damage.
Welcome to the Old Guys No Shit podcast in Dealercast Studios, where we bring together decades of automotive knowledge, all together in one place. Here's your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit.
Hey, what's going on, Dealercast Nation? I'm Jason Ayers.
And I'm Rob Mudd.
And I'm Larry Bruce.
And this is Old Guys That Know Shit podcast. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by.
Hello.
Does that sound like a little like sort like PBS?
Yeah. I'm thinking of the Saturday Night Live skit. Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome.
That sounds like a great deal.
Absolutely amazing.
Well, let's bring on sweaty balls now. I love.
Hey, they're recording this. This is on the tape.
This is on the tape.
I love sweaty ball.
Well, you know what? We talk a lot about we're old guys, and so we talk about stuff that and we look. There is some stuff out there that has been created that is absolutely liquid gold and will never ever be created again. Like if you weren't there to experience it, you won't ever get to experience it again, right? And some of those SNL skits and you're never gonna do it. There will never be a Blazing Saddles 2.
No.
That's unfortunate.
That is, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll make one.
I bet a lot of people would show up for the movie.
I guarantee you they would.
Yeah, they would. Absolutely.
Right?
So you're going to sign a waiver before you come in here?
Yeah.
Our attorney has a waiver for you to sign before you go to the movie.
Right?
Hey, I want to go see that movie, Dad.
Did you guys ever pick up that movie, that Jeremy Piven movie, the Live Hard, Sell Hard?
No, I didn't. But
that was. If you guys haven't seen that, by the way, you have to.
I've never seen it
because it's right up there with Suckers. There's another one.
Suckers.
That's another one that will never get created.
Cadillac Man was good.
Cadillac Man is classic because you got the plaid jacket,
and then of course there's always used cars. I mean, you have to. I mean, there's like 5 movies you have to watch if you're going to go in the car business. You have to watch used cars is one of them.
Yeah, I think that might be a podcast. I think we actually might have to do that. Where we're just gonna,
from there.
Yeah, we'll pull it up on the big screen behind us, and we'll just let's analyze.
Did you do this?
If you guys haven't seen Suckers, there's remember the skit where he brings the desk outside because the customer will not come inside. So he grabs the porters, and they're bringing the desk out there, and then when it's all kind of done, the guy leans in and goes, "The deal was better inside." Yeah.
You love this movies. When I took my son to see The Goods, he wanted to see it so bad he couldn't stand it. Of course, you don't know how the movie opens, but the movie opens, they're in a strip club. It's like 8 a.m.
Yes.
And it's this lady's legs just do this. This lady's legs do this. And Jeremy Piven's sitting there eating breakfast.
And they're talking about their next one.
You got Ben Rhymes over here. And my son reaches down, he grabs me, he says, "Dad, is that really how it was?" I was like, "Yeah, son."
Yeah, no, it wasn't like that at all. I don't know what these guys are talking about.
This is disgusting. We never did this.
We never did this. Dude, it is. There's a scene where he's convincing the stewardess that he can smoke on an airplane.
Yes.
So that how good of a salesperson he is. He's like, there's nothing more American than being they're like, light one up. It just
I remember going when I graduated from school. That's summer going to Europe to backpack for the summer, and we flew out of St. Louis on a 757 straight into Frankfurt, Germany. And we sat in the smoking section
Oh God, brutal.
Right? Can you believe that? What do you call it?
I can't believe there was even a section.
International.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, there's a section.
Half the plane doesn't smell like it and the other half does. Like, it's not possible.
It's kind of like the smoking square at your high school. Did you have one of those? We had a smoking square. In between classes, they'd be out there smoking, and then you'd see that you're smoking with your teacher, too. That was back in 85.
I just remember Alice Cooper smoking in the boys' room. Oh, you know, there's another newer one. If you guys are looking for a newer one, it kind of went under the radar. It's called Car Dogs. If you get a chance, look up Car Dogs.
There's actually a software called Car Dogs.
Look this one up because it is quite funny. It was. I know we'll actually get to what the heck we're talking about today. What are we
are we talking about?
You know what? We're talking about mentorship and legacy.
Jeez.
And I love this because I think these really kind of go hand in hand, right? I mean, guys, maybe it's just recently I've kind of felt like that age where I'm starting to mentor more. I'm spending more time, I guess, mentoring than where before I was probably coaching and training, staff and, and other employees. Now I find I'm doing a whole lot more mentoring, which I think is great because I think, when I think of mentoring and legacy, they go hand in hand, right? The more I mentor, the longer my legacy stays on. And, I think that's true. We talk about Zieglerisms all the time. I mean, I think Jim was a great mentor of mine. I had like 4 mentors in the car business that really kind of like it got me to where I was. If it wasn't for them, this architecture of where my career ultimately went would have never happened, right? Larry, I'm sure you're the same, right?
Well, yeah. Well, mine were Red and Charlie and Bob and Jay Marks was a great mentor. Jay probably had the most profound effect on me because Jay didn't have an office in our store.
Didn't have.
He would roll up in a Hyundai Sonata and reach in the back of the Sonata and grab a box that had all these files in it. Go up in this little cubicle room next to the office, the accounting office, and pull all the files out and start working. I was like, Jay, why don't you? You got to keep in mind this store was built by a guy named Dan Fleck, and Dan had spent this stupid amount of money on this hallway and office to the left of the showroom, big glass looking out over the showroom, big desk where Daryl Harry used to sit, and the GM. Not you're going down and there's this wood, it's like columns and stuff as you're walking down to the office. And it was all like salvaged from a Spanish galleon. I mean, he's got enough money to build a Spanish galleon in this hallway and office. And I asked Jay, why don't you just take Daryl's office? I don't understand. And he said, I don't need an office. This is good for me. Office is right there. Everything I need is in there. That's where the money is, Larry. All the money we spent is down there. All the money we're making is in there. And that's where I need to be. It's like, Jay, he probably had some good one-liners, but they weren't closing one-liners, but they were
just common sense
one-liners,
Right.
But so he had a huge, Jay Marks had a huge effect on me. I probably learned more about Jay. The only reason I became a dealer in a GM is because of Jay.
Yeah.
When I asked him one day, I said, Jay, I want, how do I become a general manager?
Yep.
And he said, start acting like one right now.
There you go.
Just start acting like a general manager. Do the things general managers do. And you will find yourself being a general manager. He said, no one comes.
That's very good.
Yeah, no one comes along. The general manager fairy didn't come along and go, ding, you're a general manager.
I know,
you start doing those things, and then people notice it. And next thing you know, you're somebody's general manager.
Yeah.
I think too often because I get this DM actually. It pops up usually at least once every couple months or something like that. They're like, "Hey, I've been in the car business for whatever X, right? How do I become a general manager, or how do I become an owner?" And that is probably one of the best answers I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's it.
Was literally just start doing what they do.
Doing what a general manager does.
And they get you to it. Rob, what was a mentor of yours?
Well, obviously my dad, because in mentor and legacy of our business. But when it comes to a dealer that taught me the rope, so to speak, I always revert back to a guy named Fred LaGreca out of Hutchinson, Kansas. And Fred taught me the fact of you have to get your up count every day. And he made sure that his guys sent it to us every day. And if they didn't, it was my responsibility to tell him, because then he would do what he does, right? So I was part of that daily facts, whether I liked it or not. But Fred knew how much money he was going to spend, because that bought him X amount of gross rating points, right? And he knew exactly how many gross rating points he needed to get 1,800 physical ups through his door. And he knew his close ratio was at 20%. And he knew if that took place, he would sell 360 units.
There you go.
And he knew what he needed to pace every day too, right? Now they have pacing.
Right. Do they? I've not seen pacing.
No. Pacing like on digital media,
Yeah.
But he had pacing down. He knew where he needed to be by this date, this date, this date. And then we knew where the people were going to come from. In the conversation, I had this off and on Fred for 10 years, and the conversation never changed. Robert, folks come from the west to the east. They don't go from the east to the west. Why that is, that it's like the conversation we had.
With Donnie.
Over the bridge, right? And Robert, where's the triangle? I pull up the triangle. Hey, scans here. Blah blah blah. How many ups do I need? You need 1,800 ups. That costs you X amount of GRPs, which equates to $108,000. That's how he ran it. But he was, like you mentioned earlier on last show, he was disciplined about it, right?
Yep.
Nothing ever changed. That was it. He called me every day. Creative sucks, Robert. Something along those lines. People come from the east to the west, but he taught me about consistency and discipline. And discipline, and doing the same thing over and over and over and over, and making the over and over and over interesting.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what he did. He made it was always hearing a new story, but it was always the same story. But he told it in a manner in which he made you listen, and he captivated you. Him and Tim Deese probably are the two biggest guys. And of course, Ziegler. But Tim really taught me the used car business.
Yeah. There's no better person to learn from either.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's, Tim, we gotta have, I wish we could get you on this. Maybe we can get him on video.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
Tim, we got to get you on, brother, before you leave us.
Mine was Billy Connors, first GM I worked for, and first one I almost quit for. No, I did quit for him. 2 days I quit for him. I think I told this story. I told this story on another podcast. Billy taught me equally as much what to do and equally as much what not to do.
By doing it himself?
Billy couldn't drive himself to the dealership because of how many DUIs he did. And I remember month one. Is Billy the same guy that chased you down? Yes, he chased me down and paid me $500. So this is Billy. So I think after that he felt bad, so he maybe talked to me a little bit more, said hi a little bit more often in the hallways. And one day, I think it was about maybe, like I said, a month or two after I started there, and he's like, what do you think of the business? And I said, well, Billy, I'm really loving this. He goes, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to own one, Billy. He goes, yeah, no, you don't. You do not. I mean, just absolutely not. No, you don't want to do this. And I said, no, I really do. And I said, I would love for you to teach me. He goes, well, I ain't doing it for free. Well, I'm like, okay, well, how much do you want, Bill? He goes, lunch, Tuesdays, Thursdays, on you. I was like, okay. Now I don't understand. Billy had a liquid lunch. All right. So,
much more expensive than a normal one.
Well, there was a happy hour. So I did find a sweet spot. But I think back now, I'm going, I actually took Billy out. I drove him there. I paid for it, and I drove him back. But every Tuesday and Thursday, I got 1 hour with Billy. And I mean, he just unloaded. I mean, I still probably have notebooks somewhere of the notes and stuff that he gave me. And like I said, a lot of what to do and a lot of what not to do. But I think probably one of the biggest things was for him, and what was important for him, is that he spent time in every single role. Every single role. I mean, he was a salesperson, sales manager, service director, parts. I mean, he did it all, right? So, my second year in the business, when I left, a healthy six-figure, sales job to go be a service advisor for $32,000 a year, he was the only one in the building that didn't think I was crazy. Because everybody else thought I was bloody nuts. They're like, why
would you do that?
Why would you do that? And, I'll tell you, like, it was eye-opening, all right, to see what customers were dealing with on the other side, right? And look, I spent time there. I spent time in the parts department. I became a fixed ops director. I spent time in financing. I even spent time in admin, helping I was an assistant controller for like 6 months. God, you want to talk about a tough job. Jeez, I'm like, anyways, I digress. No, it was because of that mentorship and those liquid lunches on Tuesdays and Thursdays that set me up, man.
I was fortunate when I lived in Chicago to know Bob Rohrman.
The old man.
The old man, the originator. And right before he passed, about 2 years before, we were fortunate to take him down to the Masters in Augusta. And it was Bob,
cool.
My dad, a couple other guys that went as well. And we're out walking. So we got there Saturday. We went down for Saturday and Sunday. Saturday at the Masters, I see Bob has to leave because he can't have a phone on the course, right? And so Bob's, hey, I'll be back. He goes outside of the Masters and he pulls out his Mead little pocketbook that you stick in your front pocket, and he calls every one of his stores. How many did you get out today? Every one of them. And at that time, he had like 37, 38. He called everyone. Every day he did that. Right? Wow. And he told me the story of what he does. And they all called him Chief. And we were talking with one of the fellows at the seminar the other day, and he knew Brad Mugg. Brad Mugg worked ran a store of his there in Chicago and then went out west. And Brad would tell me the same thing, that every day you'd have to call Chief. Right? That's what everybody called him at this time, and give him your number and he'd write it down. And that to me was, showed you a guy, he never lost contact with his business.
Nope.
He loved his business, but he loved the people in his business that worked for him. Right. So that was a great lesson at the Masters. He left the Masters to go outside so he could use his phone and call every one of these guys. That's pretty cool.
That is.
Yeah.
It is. I look. There's
so many out on the board.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? One thing I learned kind of in that same vein of it, right? Is a good business should be a boring business. It should be, right? Boringly consistent. If you're constantly running around with your like chicken with your head cut off and you're putting out fires, then you're not running a successful business. Yeah. And that one surprised me. I didn't know that one was coming. But as I got older, I was, you're right, because it is. I find we get into the automotive industry, we're all a little bit of chaos junkies. If you're out there in the industry, you like a little bit of pain. There's something there, right? Because I don't know why the hell else you are, right? Because I don't think anybody just wakes up one day and goes, yeah, I'm going to spend a career in the automotive industry. Right. But anyways, I digress. Okay, let me get into this one. And I want to ask you guys this question because I thought this is a good one. Why are just some vets still crushing it? This is something that I saw recently as I was, visiting some of these dealerships. I mean, I remember there was this one sales guy, the one where they like built a box around him because he refused to stop smoking in the showroom.
No.
Like there's just something about, you see these 20, 30 year veterans and they're still just crushing it. And I'm just curious from your guys' perspective, why do you think that is?
Well, without knowing this guy, I would say that he kept impeccable records of his customers in a database, which was his Rolodex. And he got to the point where everybody was in a trade cycle, right? And he knew it, and it was printing money. But the hard part is to get to that consistency to where you start to turn it over. Now, 30 years, he had to love it. He had to love his customers, and he loved the business. I'm assuming, I don't know who this guy is.
Well, no, I think there's consistent traits in these individuals, and you're probably 100% right. Like you're not going to get that far in the business and be consistent if you don't have those type of traits. If you're not loving the business, if you're not seeing insanely consistent on it. I did hear, and it wasn't from Billy, it was from another mentor of mine, in the sales side. I heard him say this to another salesperson. All you have to do is sell 500 customers. That is it. All right. Continue to service those 500 customers, and you got yourself a career.
Remember Joe Girardi? Was it Joe, what was his name? The greatest car salesman in the world.
That was Joe Girardi.
Did he say something like that? Probably.
I don't know. He sold a lot of cars.
Yeah, he sold a lot of cars. I don't know what Joe. I mean, I don't know if Joe said. If Joe had said that, that's a lot of that. That's a lot of people. A lot of people have come up with that number.
Yeah, I don't know why that number specifically. I just heard it over the years.
But you said it's consistency.
Yeah.
The reason the reason they're crushing it is they consistently do what others won't do.
Correct. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And they just keep doing it.
Right.
And and you've done it. We've all had that. That one of those moments, like one of those moments when you go, I think I'm going to do this differently, and then you go, nah, it's working, and you just zip right back into it, and it just keeps working. That's those guys are doing that consistently, and they're also there are people coming in and out. They're just head down, keep shoveling, and they just keep shoveling, and they're unfortunately very few and far between, and I hate that. But that's something that I think is dying out in the car business, and you hate to see it.
The other thing that's dying, or it seems to be, are those characters that we're talking about right now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the character, yeah, they're whitewashing it hard.
Yeah, and that was part of the personality of the car store, because we also said it on another show, is it was fun to go to the car deal, right? It was fun to go to the car. Well, why? Because the guys that were there, right?
They made it fun.
And some of those,
I miss the larger than life guys.
Yeah,
I miss the larger than life guys, because right now, it's bad. It's going to sound bad when I say it, but the boring guys everybody wants the boring guys. They're good business people.
Yes.
And they're solid, almost bankers, but they're not the big car guys.
Bob Borman was
I like the big car guys. Man, come on. Yeah. I do.
Yeah.
The Bill Hurds, the guys that are just, they're larger than life.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I've had the opportunity to do a handful of podcasts with some of these individuals, right? And, these guys are 20, 30-year veterans. And one of the patterns, and it's funny when 100%, you're absolutely right. Consistency, that was a major pattern with all of their success, right? Yeah. Passion, and 100% another one. And one I thought was also very interesting, that every single one of them had a very key mentor in their life as well, right? So it's like, it's not that it did just happen by accident. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it passes it along.
They all had one person or maybe a handful of people's name that they just like, let me tell you a story. And this, Well,
that's really the only way you could make that association, is if someone taught you, then you knew what to do to teach someone else, right? And that's storytelling.
Yeah.
If you're not telling your story, no one's going to know the story to tell. And that's called legacy too. Right?
And I wonder if that's why we're seeing this die off in the sales side of the business. So this doesn't necessarily always happen on the fixed ops side, all right? Because it is common, and I had one, that your senior tech, continues to grow to be the senior one, and then maybe takes a little more role, and then eventually becomes your shop foreman, right? And he's the guy that walks around and Jedi style can put a hand on a car. It's the second bank, back right, fourth cylinder, misfire. Are you kidding me?
I'm a diagnostic.
How do you know that? The car told me.
But what I find, the car told me. But what I find is, in our industry, we have a role for that person, and we put a role together for them and have them continue to kind of mentor down. We don't do this on the variable side. At least I don't see it to happen too often. Have you guys seen?
The problem with trying to do that in the variable side is that your best salespeople are generally selfish. They're I mean, they are.
All right.
They're generally, they're hard to get along with. They don't generally, they like their customers, but they don't like other people. Right. Yeah. They like, and so they have a tendency. I mean, I can remember when I first went to work, when I first started selling cars at Ron Craft in 80s.
Mm-hmm.
We're just gonna leave it there. One of the guys comes out and he says, "Yeah, oh man, it's tough here. Ain't nobody selling any cars here." He's trying to run my ass off. Right. The minute I showed up, right? Yeah. And so I mean, they don't generally like competition. They want to keep you. I mean, that's one of their. I mean, you don't want to transfer the bad habits. I don't want to transfer the brain damage. Mm-hmm. So that's why you don't see that often. I think it's getting more, but it's more, they're more mentored by the sales manager. But the sales manager's now transitioned into a desk guy. Yeah. And so there is no sales manager. And that's why you see these guys, well, I can't get my people to follow up. Did you follow up when you were a sales guy?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm betting not. So you don't know how to follow up, and so you don't know how to teach this guy how to follow up, and of course he then becomes the manager, and he didn't follow, and it just progressively gets worse. Yeah. I mean, it's weird to see it, and even weirder that the dealer won't grab a hold of it and fix it,
right?
Because it's not hard to fix. Right? It's really not.
You're right. I mean, I guess on the variable side, if there was that role, that was that floor person, right?
Right. I've told
and
many
I've seen
dealers,
that role fall off.
Yeah. Well, I've told many dealers, you're going to have to get a floor manager.
Yeah.
You're going to have to, because the floor manager has got to be. I liken it to a senior developer. In a development,
100%.
You get a senior developer and you got a bunch of junior developers. The senior developer's there to mentor the junior developers, and when they get stuck, he helps them, unsticks them, and then they go doing their stuff. The floor manager's the guy. He's the guy that takes the TO. He's the guy he is the sales manager, yeah, yes. And you're the desk guy, and you're the negotiation guy. Mm-hmm. But you're going to have to get a floor manager, and the floor manager. I mean, when I was the manager. The only time I was at that desk is because I was figuring out a payment or I was desking a deal.
Sure.
The rest of the time I had a clipboard and I walked around the showroom, and I would walk around and I'd talk to people and I introduced myself, and you know where I learned it? Jim Ziegler.
Yep.
Said, he was the first person to tell me a sales manager should never ever stand still, should always be moving. It's like a shark.
And it's funny that you say that, because I definitely did not see that. I mean, this big trip I just recently took where I visited over 100 dealerships, I'm telling you right now, I would say well over 90 of them, those sales managers were in their tower. And, at a desk level, I don't know how they can see over the desk, but anyways, like they were there. They weren't, I didn't see them on the floor.
Like a shark, man.
Yeah.
You never want to introduce yourself. The first time the customer meets you should not be on the TO.
Well said. That's a great point.
It should be.
That's interesting. So we were at that hotel, the Westin,
mm-hmm.
and I was shocked at the service.
Yeah. Do you notice the general manager was always down on the floor?
Did you notice him? The floor pouring coffee when
you saw it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that.
That dude was on. He was on
it the whole time.
Because you can't manage from your freaking office.
Yeah.
And then the housekeeping, I was blown away by that, because 100%. A lot of hotels don't do that anymore, or they do it every other day or what have you. This person, whoever it was, not only cleaned my room, but folded my clothes, put them back into my suitcase, took my suitcase off the floor, put it on that little stand that's supposed to be stand out.
I just put it in the corner.
And my shaving kit was all lined up and neat. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So I sat there that night and wrote a note to this person and said, "Dear housekeeping person," and thanked them for because it made that big of an impression. Why? Because you don't see it anywhere else.
Yeah.
Well, and that general manager was definitely leading by example. Because
100%.
And there were a couple of them. I saw them when they switched shifts. They were literally just one was on the floor, and then the next one was on the floor, and just eyes, just to your point, like a shark, just where everybody else who was missing.
Where do I need to be? Yeah, where do I need to help? I mean, and that's the people. When you look at, you look at Vegas, right? Mm-hmm. And when Steve Wynn sold the Bellagio and went and opened up Wynn, everybody went with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that was the guy you wanted to work for, because he was down there with you. Steve Wynn when he managed hotels, he was on the floor.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When I think about the mentors I've had, right now, again, to look at the patterns, they had an uncanny ability to balance their time between what I call the clouds, that 30,000 foot view, and then the dirt, and just like really being in the operations, and then just they would somehow be able to like just almost feel like they were in both places at the same time, even though they weren't. Mm-hmm. And that's what it sounds like with your guys, the mentors you guys dealt with the exact same thing. Here's a question I have for you guys. This will be a fun one. All right. If you could, as a mentor, all right, so now you put yourselves shoes in as a mentor. If you could tell your 25-year-old self one thing, what advice would you give your 25-year-old self? Business advice.
Business advice.
We can leave the marriage and parental advice maybe for another show.
Business. It sounds trite, but it's so true. The grass is not greener, right? It isn't.
It's a good one.
Even though you think it is, because usually the problems that you have and you encounter, whether you like to believe it or not, are usually your own, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so wherever you go, it's kind of like Linus and that cloud that follows them, right? And that's right. That you're bringing it along with you, and and until you understand that, you're always going to be looking for greener pasture because it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I totally agree with that one. I mean, I think I would have said. The business advice I would have given my 25-year-old self was like, look, man, don't go all in. I mean, my personality is I'm all in every time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And while that makes sense, not having I'm talking about I'm all in. I don't have a safety net. I don't, why do I need a safety net? This is going to work.
Yes.
Right. For what? That's just money.
That's pretty common thinking in the car business. Yes. No, 100%.
That's just money. That's just money I'm gonna put over here and lose. Yeah. No, you're gonna lose it if it doesn't work. No, I'm gonna lose it. Car people have a very different mentality.
They don't squirrels.
They don't look at this and say, no. Well, they don't look at this.
Lose.
They don't look at this pile of money over here and say, this is in case I don't win.
Right. That's right.
They look at this pile of money over here and say, if I don't put this over here, I won't win as much.
Right.
So screw that. Every time, I mean, at least from my perspective, I everything I've ever done, I've been all the way in on to the point where everybody's really uncomfortable, including me sometimes. But I'm all in. I mean, and there is that we burn the boats, right? It's a Rubicon, man.
Yep.
So, I wonder, don't not do that. I know people are going to tell you save for a rainy day. I get it. But man, there's something about not being able to go back that makes you go forward.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And you never stop. And so, because you have to make it work. When you have to make it work, it's funny how it always works.
Yeah, that is
when
true.
You have to. Right. And sometimes, like I said, is it uncomfortable? Yeah. Is it going to bite you in the ass? Yeah. But here's what you don't have the option to do. Give up.
No, you're 100% right. And that's great advice. And you guys are, if I was to go back, I'd look at my 25-year-old self, also in line of exactly what you guys have said, I'd probably only add, hey, you can't do this by yourself.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with the people that are already doing what you want to do. Mm-hmm. All right. So the people that are already at the level that you want to be, you surround yourself with those people and understand that you can't do, because when I was 25 years old, I mean, come on, guys, I was fucking Superman. All right. Nobody was stronger. Nobody was faster. Nobody could put deals together better than anybody. I mean, even as a manager, when I became a manager, right? Like I was like, someone's gonna tell me. I'm gonna here I come, to save the day. And just that was. I was in my 30s when I learned that, and boy, I think how much that would have impacted that early career that I had. And I'm not complaining about the early career by any means whatsoever, just how much I would have impacted, where I was like, no, it is a team effort. I need to put teams, I need to actively seek mentors. 25, I wasn't seeking a mentor. I had one, which is great. So I lucked out, but I wasn't seeking one. I think if you're 25 years old right now, you're watching this show, man, you need to find yourself a mentor, right? And if you got to pay for it in the form of Tuesday and Thursday liquid lunches, it's 100% worth it.
That's 100% worth it, for sure. Yep. I don't think I was actively seeking a mentor. It just kind of worked out that way, right?
Yeah.
But and I don't know that I would, if I was 25, I would give myself the advice, go find a mentor. I would just say, hey, listen.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's
you're right. The mentor may already be there. You just don't know it.
You just don't know it because you're not listening. Listen.
Yeah. Listen. Because that listening skill you take with you as far as you can go, right?
Yes.
And absolutely. That's a good one. I wish I would have started listening, not just hearing, but listening sooner than I did.
Yeah.
This is a good one. This one we're going to end on, because this is something that I've actually got recently asked by a young sales manager. And he was like, how do you balance passion and burnout? Because I got a passion just to continue to do more, but my mind and body is not, there are two things that are constantly fighting each other. And when I saw that DM, I was like, man, I don't know if I necessarily have this answer, because I actually deal with this problem all the time right now. So I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on how do you balance.
I didn't do it.
I did.
I didn't get married till I was 55 years old.
Oh, well, there you go.
So I went full on.
Oh, wait a minute. Are we talking about burnout, or are we talking about something else?
We're talking about burnout, because I was married to my work until I got divorced from my work, and then I got married.
Well,
I kind of kidded about
there were a lot of shit
burnout more than passion.
Married, that had nothing to do with work.
What's that?
And there was a lot of shit we were doing that that had nothing to do with work, but it would definitely keep you from getting married.
I'm talking about I was on a plane every week, and I would go until finally I remember being in Las Vegas and gotten done with meeting a dealer and wanted to get out of Vegas, right?
Yep.
And couldn't get out. And I almost had a meltdown, because I had been on the road for like 3 weeks, and the last place I wanted to be was in Vegas. Right?
Yeah, no doubt.
I couldn't get out. And you don't know when your gas tank is going to come, you're burning fumes.
Yes.
It just happens, and you lock up, right? So I don't know. I think people that have passion always will have that happen to them, and then they realize I can't do that and try to get better. But that's what drives you, right? That's what drives you to get there. It's the good, the bad, the ugly. You got to have them all.
I think people get burned out because they don't like what they're doing.
Oh, well, yeah.
They work. They hate what they're doing, and they get burned out. I never got burned out because I loved what I was doing. I mean, I still go down to car dealerships and ask them to page me. Literally, I'll walk in and Maxine will be there. Maxine, would you page me, please? I need to hear
it.
I do. I mean, I think when was it? It was like 2-3 months ago. I did it. Yeah. I mean, I need to be paid. I love the store experience.
It is
the only thing I couldn't, that I'm glad I did when I got out of the store side of it, was it opened up my weekends to be with my kiddos. And coach football, watch them play football, watch them play lacrosse, be in there in that lacrosse deal. I'm pretty sure my youngest son wish I did not come and mentor lacrosse, and he certainly didn't like what I had to say to the ref. you know, but you know, that's a different story. But you know, I mean, that's the only thing I think, the only thing about the car dealerships, the experience that really hurts is that it can take a toll on your family. And I got some of that back with my youngest son mostly, and my daughter mostly, but my two oldest kids, not as much. I wish I had gotten a little bit of that time back. But, you know, I mean, life is full of trade-offs. There is no such thing as this work-life balance. That is horse.
Oh, no.
Shit.
I'm
usually the people that say that are the people that don't have that.
They don't know. It's the lazy people that want to give it. They want an excuse not to work.
Right.
Okay, don't tell me that crap, because there's no such thing as work-life balance. We have to work to have a life.
Yes.
And it doesn't really matter, even if you have, I mean, Elon Musk works to have a life. He doesn't work for the money. If you're working for the money, then you're already burned out. You hate it.
Good point.
If you're working, he works for a life.
That is his life. That is his life.
He loves doing it. Otherwise, nobody sleeps on the floor of the freaking office because you don't love it.
Right.
And
the people that don't like that are people, to your point, that don't love what they do. So they're pissed at him because he does.
Yeah,
and I agree with you. I never felt burned out. Now, to your point, Larry, and I think for anybody out there watching and listening, I think this is important too, is that you will go through different seasons in your life with different passions. Right. Like you don't have to have one passion, right? Like I love what I do. I'm full in love with it, and I agree with you. I know I'm never going to burn out with it, but I also love my kids. Right, and I love the time that it's
you'll find you'll find the time.
Well, that's right. I think what keeps your passions going is the intentionality that you put into the time that's for it. Right, the real intentional time.
Yeah,
you know, it's like last night we got off the plane. We got to I spent 2 intention hours just plowing through this so that I could go spend intentional time elsewhere, right? Sure. And and I think intentionality is the key for not ever hitting burnout.
Yeah, you know, I think you made me think about, you know, what would I tell my 25-year-old self today? And there's one that just hit me that I should have just stood out. It's not just choose the people you're around with carefully. Choose your partners carefully.
That is true.
You know, I've had partners in my business endeavors that just flat ass suck.
Yes.
You know, I mean, they literally, I mean, you know, there are 3 types of partners. There's the partner that you want, the one that helps. The one that's always, you know, that they're in the middle of it. They're roll up their sleeves. I'm going to get in here and help you get it done. Okay. I'll find the people, I'll find the time, find the people, do whatever. Then there's the partner who's, he's just the money.
Yep.
Right. That's fair. Okay. That's cool if it's just the money, but the money's not enough. I got to have help. You're not going to get this. You're not going to stand a company up by yourself. I got to have help, and I need help, not just paying for the person that I got to hiring the person. And then finally, there's the worst one, and that's the partner who constantly is torpedoing you behind your back.
Sure.
And that's the one I never can understand, because that's the guy, you're torpedoing the business you have money in, buddy. You get that, right? Yep. I mean, and so you gotta, if you are going to be partners with somebody.
Yes.
Period. Choose them wisely. Make them make them help. Get, you know, the first one, you got to have help. The partner's got to be in the business helping.
Well, and if you think about that, every great successful company, every great successful athlete,
there was more than one person.
Exactly. They never did it They had a partner with this and a partner for this and a partner for that.
Well, I thought Musk might be the one guy, but then he introduced all the Doge guys. Oh, this is the guy that helped me with PayPal. This is the guy. I'm like, okay. These are the guys. These are all the guys going and making the shit happen that you come up with in that funky little brain of yours, and they're fixing it. Okay, now I feel better about myself because I thought I couldn't get these. Here's a guy getting to 400 billion by himself. Damn it!
Right. He didn't do it by himself.
Oh, hell no! And he's got some good solid cats with him, right? So you're either going to get lucky and find that guy, or you're going to find that guy intentionally. Try to be intentional about it. Try to find that guy that's going to be involved and help.
And I think, Rob, to your point, intentionally open your ears.
Oh yeah,
listen, and you will find you will find that individual for sure.
I always believed that I had to become a student of my craft, right?
Yeah,
and really look at it as your craft for your career, right? And some people don't. I'm a sales guy. No, it's your craft. Are you going to get good at it? Are you going to learn about it? Are you going to put your nose in a book or whatever it is to read about it? Are you going to see what else is going on? Are you sucking up the information that may not be at your fingertips or in front of you? Are you seeking it out?
Are you being a student?
Because that will tell you whether you're really into something, if you want to master it. And you never master really anything, but you have that drive to get better because today information just is everywhere, and you can, if you're not sucking it up in something that you want to do, it's probably not something you want to do.
100%.
Right.
Well, look, guys, I know we are at the end of our time, actually, and I really appreciate, you guys, and I think for everybody out there watching and listening, if you are the mentor, keep it up and be intentional, keep those ears open. You will find great mentors, and you will find amazing partners to help and support you. And these are just some great ideas and great tips for everybody out there watching and listening. If you have a friend or a colleague or a manager that needs to see this show, share it. It means a lot to us when you share the show. It's the largest compliment you can ever give us. For you guys, if you want to see more content like this, Larry, where can they see more content like this?
They can see more content like this at thedealercast.com.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us today. You guys have an amazing day.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in to the Old Guys Know Shit podcast with your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.
We've seen it all, been around the block, sold a few cars and hit the clock. From radio ads to digital screens, from paper ledgers to machine-made dreams. We're the old guys that know shit. We watch the business change bit by bit, from ink on paper to AI's call. We've survived it all, standing tall. We're the old guys, yeah, we know shit. Know shit. From the old ways to the new, we've seen it fit. Once you'd walk in and shake a hand, now it's all apps and online plans. We traded flyers for digital ads, and social media made us all go mad. We're the old guys that know shit. From the old ways to the new, we've seen it fit. Once you'd walk in and shake a hand, now it's all apps and online plans. We traded flyers for digital ads, and social media made us all go mad. Woo! We're the old guys that know shit. We watch the business change bit by bit, from ink on paper to AI's call. We've survived it all, standing tall. We're the old guys, yeah, we know shit. From the old ways to the new, we've seen it fit. From car lots crowded with paper trails to platforms that never fail, we've learned the ropes, we've set the pace, and now we're surfing the digital space. Woo! We're the old guys that know shit. We watch the business change bit by bit, from ink on paper to AI's call. We've survived it all, standing shit. No shit. No shit. From the old ways to the new, we've seen it fit. So if you're a dealer, new or old, take a seat, let the stories unfold. We've got the wisdom, we've got the drive. The old guys that know shit, still alive. Still alive.